Are we okay?
Running.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. But do your nails on the...
Do your nails on the thing. That's
Should I do it? Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll do mine.
Can I do two things at once?
Yes.
Okay.
Precision.
These superb comics, entertainers, roller disco champs.
Thank you.
Who, by the way, swam uncircumcised.
With Diana Nyad.
Yeah.
We were the ones sending the jellyfish to Stinger. And we're like, take
Get
that,
this
bitch.
woman. You think you can get to
You
Cuba?
get this woman.
You take that.
And then you know what? You're going to be destined to a life of being an NPR person.
Fantastic. I mean, what can be said that they haven't said in a funnier way and in stereo? Please welcome Jason and Randy Sklar. Yay!
Thank you. So happy to be here. What a treat. It's great.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Wait, did that bitch... She had a net around her, right?
She had like a lot of stuff, but she was getting stung like
Jeez.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is like a metaphor for parenting. You're like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep getting, like, if you have another kid, you're like, I'm just
And
going
then you're just like, just keep swimming and maybe you'll hit land at some point.
and we're all gonna, and there's a point like in the swim where she's like, we're all gonna die sometime. I'm like, that's a good metaphor. For
Right.
parenting too.
May as well like die underwater on camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of, have you guys had vax-ectomies?
No.
I have not.
Should I?
Do I need to
Yes.
schedule it?
Yes.
Does our insurance cover it? You want a vasectomy?
Yeah, I want one. I know. I want to do a show.
I'm
you
gonna
know,
get you one.
You,
I'm gonna get you one.
Yeah, Laura's the Bob
I know
Barker of
it doesn't
stand-up
hurt,
comedy.
and I
She's trying to
wanna do-
spay and neuter all the comics.
See, I want to do something, you know, like Seinfeld, only useful. I want to have Laura bringing comics to get vasectomy. Oh my God,
Vasectomies?
to get vasectomies.
Yeah.
Don't call it vaxxectomy because
We're anti-vaxxers.
RFK, we're anti-vaxxers.
Vasectomies.
Vaskers.
Sarah, we're gonna have to fix that.
No, we don't. I don't want.
Vasectomy. Yes.
No, don't fix it in post.
Vasectomy.
Who said you can't do two things at once? Oh,
I
you
can't.
did. You did.
I
You did.
can't. I just said that. And I
Wait, did you do
clearly
both hands
can't.
already?
Yeah, they're done.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. I used to paint my nails, and it's the whole thing where it's like I'm right-handed, but when I did my left hand, like I would use my right hand, and this side looked like a stroke victim had done it, and then this side was like immaculate. It was so good. It was the reverse.
Right. Your left hand looks great.
It was always beautiful.
You need a friend to do the right hand.
I have a lot of stupid questions that I'm sure
Yes.
you were
Let's
asked.
get into it.
And I remember we were talking after a set one night, and you said that you started doing stand up in high school.
Yeah. We did. 1986.
I mean, we loved stand up. We loved it. So, like, as kid, I don't know why look, our dad was funny, but not in a way of like creating material. He just would get laughs. Like, he was like a funny fat guy, which is just great. I mean, he was like,
Great recipe.
he
like
would
a
drive
less-
us around and like to run errands with him because he worked a lot. But like on Saturday, he wanted to spend time with us and he'd drive us around to like pick up his cleaning or whatnot. And we'd just be sitting in a running car. Sure. Hey, child molesters, let's grab these two little twins. Where's Puffy? And we're just sitting there and like we'd just look in and watch him interact with me. Everybody he interacted with would just start laughing. So like there's that I feel like is imprinted in your brain in a way where you're like, oh, that's valuable. And so we just started watching tons of comedy. And then when...
Like what? What was your access to comedy?
So once cable kind of came, we're old enough that like cable comes...
The thing that hit us the hardest was the
Rodney Dangerfield Young
Yes.
Comedian Special.
Yes.
So like,
Roseanne's on it, right?
so yeah, but the one that really hit us was the one that Seinfeld was on.
Seinfeld, Sam Kinison, Robert Townsend. Bob
Robert Townsend, Nelson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All those guys. Like, and Rita Rudner and all these people.
I love Rita.
And it was... We taped it.
Barry Sobel.
Yes.
Barry Sobel.
yeah.
That was in a later one.
I have VHSs with Wendy Liebman like all over.
Oh, yeah.
Like I couldn't
So
stop.
we taped those specials. The couple, we saw the first one, loved it. Saw the next one that came out. Just Dom Irrera. And like, we just would tape the things and then from that came like HBO hours and then like
Kevin Meaney.
just incredible. And we would learn it. And because regular people didn't have it and there was no social media, it's like we would do people's bits for other people.
Totally.
And they would crack up because they're brilliant bits. I mean, they're just brilliantly constructed.
So our parents' friends were over at our house, and they'd be like, "What's going on with you?" You know, and we're like,
We love talking to
What's going on
adults.
with us? What's going on with the shower radio?
Sure. Great place to dance. No better place to dance than on a slick surface next to a glass door.
Am I right? ladies, like just us over, and
they're laughing because they don't know the 7-minute, 8-minute Seinfeld chunk on this.
So
thing.
you started out stealing material.
Of course.
Totally.
Oh my God.
But Rosie
Let's
O'Donnell,
be honest here.
Rosie O'Donnell tells the same story. She saw Seinfeld and she said she loved it, so she just went into a club and did his act verbatim and killed.
So we never didn't go to a club and do it. Yeah. We just talking with people. You were just like that moment, that feeling of being in front of people and performing before you have the knowledge of what to write.
Was it like an unspoken thing, or were you like, hey, I think we should do this?
No, so there was a talent show at our high school, and we're like, what is the one thing that we can do? Well, we're funny. We didn't even talk about like, should I go up? Should you go up? We were just like, we're going to go up.
Sure.
And we wrote some material for ourselves, and then we stole a bunch. You know what I mean? We did other people's material, and
that was at the talent show. And so what was
in St. Louis?
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis at our high school. It was in front of 300 people. And I would say you saw footage of it, like not recently, but like
I think the next year we did it the second time. Okay. And I think anything we wrote specifically for it actually did better. And we just didn't trust ourselves that we could but
like, how old are you guys?
14, 15. And I remember we were like, there was a bit we did about, which is kind of like what we do now. There were the germ of what we do now. We wrote a bit about the math club, about how like the math club there's no one who goes to the math club. It needs to be more popular. They need better marketing. Like that was our thing. They need to like merge the math club with like truck and tractor pull advertisements. And so then we kind of launched into this like mathy, funny, like you gotta, I forgot what it was.
Truck and protractor
pull. Like any little pun we could drop in and do a thing. And it was really fun. And that did really well. And we got great feedback from that. And we had tape and we loved it. And then our friend, we had friends through like Jewish youth group, funny, creative friends that we would send like videotapes.
So we had two friends in Kansas City that would film bar mitzvahs and film the bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah parties.
And then at the end, they would, when people were like drunk, they'd bring people out and
because they'd give a message to us.
Oh,
so like cute. Random other people's uncles.
This is Aunt Bunny and Randy and Jason. You should get off the drunk. It was awesome. And they would do bits. And then Randy and I, or they'd go down to like downtown Kansas City and like interview people about fake things that were happening. It was really funny stuff. And then we would do like these crazy mashup like Billy Joel jokes about like, what was that song? Captain Jack. Where like the live version where he like says you sit at home and masturbate, and then we'd like dub in like a crowd screaming and yelling.
Which also people are maybe forgetting what a rarity it was to have access to a camera, right? Or how to have like audio splicing or any of that shit. So like the magic of that access.
It took a lot of work, but we were just creating stuff for each other. So we had this sort of creative community of people. And a friend of ours who was like, we were 15 and he was 16. He was doing comedy sports in Kansas City. And he said, someone just contacted the club and they said that there's a TV show that's looking for like young comedians, 16 and under. It's like a Disney, hosted by Mark Price. Remember Mark Price?
Yeah.
Skippy from Family Ties.
Oh my God.
So they said, this guy's hosting this show for Disney.
We're putting a pilot. We're trying to put a pilot together and like host this thing. And so this production company out here, I'll never forget them, Rubin and Core. Never heard of them and ever before or since.
Yeah, they're an accident law firm.
So, if you're hurt in an accident,
have you been bitten by a dog? So
So our friend was like, "Do you have any tape on you?" We're like, "We actually do. We just taped ourselves doing this thing." And he's like, "Send it to this place." So we went to the guy who made copies of our bar mitzvah tape, and he's the only guy who had like 2 VCRs in town, like connected to each other. And he made a copy of it, and we sent so we sent it off thinking you're just throwing something into the Grand Canyon, like we'll never hear back. A couple months later they call us back and they're like, I remember we're at home, we're teenagers, and they're like, look, we've seen literally hundreds and hundreds of tapes of young people trying to do stand-up. You guys 100% have it.
Yeah.
You can't steal material. Have to your own. Just, do your own material. Go up at your local comedy club, tape that, and bring it back. We're like, we can't. We're too young. And they're like, just call your club and go up and do this next Tuesday. We're like, okay, we call the club.
The Funny Bone in St.
Funny Bone. Can we go up and do some material? And they're like, how old are you? We're like, 15. They're like,
no.
Are you joking? No. We call them back. We're like, they said no. And they're like, hang on a second. They call back. They call, and then we get a call from the club. You're up this Tuesday, and then we were like, "Holy shit!"
We gotta write.
Yeah.
So write and act. And
It just, yeah.
Does that change it? Like now it's pressure. Now you're
pressure.
scared.
We
Now.
got to write material that we didn't. And it was
front of like random adults on a Tuesday night at the Funny Bone. In
No
St.
math
Louis.
club.
Well, we did do that, but
we probably did do that.
but like we wrote a bunch of. It was fine, and then we never heard back from them, and the show never happened. So like, but still, that call was interesting to us. The people saying like, "Well, you guys have something that's really interesting that we."
Did you think for a
Was that-
moment that was it? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say, was that validation like for your parents to go? I guess they really have it, or were they supportive all along?
So they. I don't think ever thought this was going to be a career for us. So they were kind of like, I mean,
no one
you
in
guys
our
are into
lives.
this, and
Well,
they
the
did
worst
think
thing
we were
is
funny.
one of your kids is like, I want to be a comic, but then two of your kids.
Oh, I
like,
know.
It's like,
I was-
there goes the farm.
Can
We got to worry about both of them now.
Yeah.
Was that
Like,
an advantage? Like,
Both
was
your
it-
kids coming out of the closet
At
as
the same
comedians at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, right?
Yeah, we
Wait,
wanted
you have
to do
sisters
it.
and brothers?
No, it's just
us.
us. And so that was
As
like
far
the
as
one
you know.
exactly. That's a good point.
Ancestry.
It's a great point. That's a great point. So they, I mean, they were kind of supportive, but we were still in high school. We weren't going to like go leave high school to go do it. We're still going to go to college. We went to college. We applied. Both of us got into law school, but we were doing stand-up
What?
kind of throughout.
This is what's crazy to me is when I meet people who had like a
sliding door other life.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
It blows my mind because
So-
mine was like, should I waitress or should I go to a
Do
place?
stand-up.
Yeah, it was
Should
like
I
the same
paint
thing.
other people's nails? Or-
Yeah, I mean,
You're
you should-
smart kids.
We
in
were
other words.
we were smart kids, and we
still are.
Came from a Jewish family that valued work and work hard and all that shit.
But they were like, I think our dad secretly hoped that someday we'd maybe go into his business.
He did another thing that was very, without knowing, was very influential on us in terms of taking chances and risks when you bet on yourself. So when we were in high school, he bought the family business, which sold alteration supplies and Velcro. So like whenever you go to Nordstrom or wherever, I mean,
not
I
Saks,
got this at Nordstrom. This
You
is-
did?
I got
Thank you for
that.
saying Nordstrom and not
Nordstrom's.
Yeah,
It's
I'm from
singular.
Texas.
Singular.
That's-
It's Nordstrom.
Yeah.
Or Saks, speaking of Texas, or, you go to, or like David's Bridal or something. If you buy, back in the day when people bought nice clothes, you buy a nice thing, it has to get tailored because it's not, we all can't look like Laura. Like,
I know.
like you buy it
Not
off the
everyone
rack.
is a supermodel like
She's
Keitlinger.
Off the rack, Keitlinger.
Totally.
Straight off the
See?
rack. But clothes are
Do they
designed.
make a size smaller than 0?
So
Straight off the rack and no rack.
for the record,
Rackless.
Laura
rackless
just
off
met
the
my
rack.
boyfriend for the first time, and all he could talk about was how chic and cool you were and your fashion. That was
You
all.
really
Oh,
are.
so cool. Yeah,
You
because
really
he
are.
works with- yeah.
Stunning.
See?
But your boyfriend is very, very, very.
But that's what I'm saying. He has a
He's
good
so
eye.
well. Okay.
But
Anyway,
my
sorry,
point
so
is-
you're-
my
that's
point
what-
is that, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Your dad invented Velcro.
For people who aren't, well, he did, but he had Velcro. But for people who aren't Laura Keitlinger, you have to get stuff shortened,
Correct.
and tightened or loosened, whatever. And so the tailor, all the stuff that the tailors would use, the needle, the thread, the shoulder pads, the bob, and all that stuff. He was like a middleman that sold that stuff.
His
But
uncle owned
his
the
uncle
business.
owned it and sold it for a lot of money. I was like, he didn't have to sell for that much money, but he sold it, and then dad bought it, and then dad.
This is like in high school before we're going to go to college. And we're like, we are
He
going to
like
college.
went $1 million in debt like when we were freshmen in high school, and you got to put 2 kids through college. Doing
Yeah.
that right now myself.
Do you think he was investing because he's like, my kids will take over?
So the probably was that thought, but the other thought was really, and this was him, is like, oh, I'll make money. He's like, I'll pay this off. He's like, we're supposed to pay this off in 10 years.
There's a sports analogy in it, which I know you guys both love sports so much.
Yeah.
There's a notion of give me the ball. I want the ball at the end of the game. Like Michael Jordan was very much like, that
I'll
ball
take
better
over.
be in my hands. I'm going to take this. I don't
he
care.
d- he
So our
was-
dad- and
he
that-
was
you
a
have to have
smart
that
guy, but-
attitude with comedy too.
Right.
You have to be like, I want to be on this show. You're like, you don't shrink from the moment of being like.
he took
we're
a
on-
huge risk, bet on himself, and he succeeded, and he won. And then, I mean, he was.
I'm like, what's that like?
I mean,
Well, I mean, it wasn't like, but he didn't make millions of dollars. He just paid it off and supported his family and put us through school. And like, it was a big risk, and
it was ballsy, and I think we
And
took
where-
note of that.
I was gonna say, where's your mom in all this? Does she say?
So mom was a fascinating person and is still a fascinating person, but mom was like super smart, a national merit finalist and went to Ohio State University on a full scholarship, grew up in Canton, Ohio. She and my dad met in Cincinnati. They were just there for like overlap for a couple of months. He was like working up there and she got a job out there, and then through friends randomly. It's a great story.
That's
but like
so Ohio.
It is so Ohio.
That's very
They met
Ohio.
and then they got engaged like after like 5 weeks and then moved back down to St. Louis.
There's a
where
Neil
he got
Young
transferred.
song all about that.
Yes. Yeah. Four Dead. Yes. And so Tin Soldiers and Nixon's coming.
Yeah.
So she.
Wait a minute, there was another pair of twins that we
Yes,
don't
and
know the
they-
name. Okay.
They-
you wanted the ball, so
We
you
ate
killed
them.
them.
We ate them in the womb. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
The
There was
parasitic
4 of us.
twins.
It was our
Yeah.
set. So but she was really smart. Like she took computer classes like in the 80s. She was learning all these like Fortran and Pascal and all these like logos and programming and Cobalt. And then she became in a think tank for computer curriculum in our school district. It was a very cool job in like the 80s. It was like super forward.
The best
thinking.
is they had this thing where this is like 83 or 82. They did this program where 6th graders who were still in elementary school could send electronic mail messages to 7th graders and ask them anonymously questions about middle school. And they could be sexual
Wow.
questions.
I was gonna
or-
say, yeah.
so there was a lot
Anything.
of
Because-
because you're anonymous, you could really say like, what does this mean? And
Is there bullying? Is
And
there
you
this?
were working in DOS.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, it was like,
Wow.
look, and the feedback from the kids was great because they got answers to their questions.
But
They
everybody else was like, what? Electronic mail?
mail.
What a dumb idea.
Who's gonna do that?
That's never going to catch on.
Yeah.
But that's how like forward she was.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
so she was doing really cool stuff. She was a reading teacher and like an English teacher and a journalism teacher when she came out of high school,
wild.
out of college. But then, like, she had to help our dad do this business, which she didn't particularly love. And it's like working in a warehouse in downtown St. Louis with some shitty
She didn't work in the
workers.
warehouse. She worked in the office part where the warehouse was.
But it was like old office furniture, not that cold.
You know what reminds us of it? The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Miss
Maisel.
Yeah.
The Pollock stuff.
Kevin
Pollock's job. Have you watched the show at all? No.
No.
Okay. So there's very much crossover with that. With like, there's like.
Do you think it's about Joan? I know that's like part of it, right?
Yes,
Like,
I think
it's
that is
mirrored
about
on
it.
Joan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But like she just in the thing, like hit the ex-husband, the guy she married and then divorces. His father is played by Kevin Pollak, and he works in like the fashion district in New York. And he had these like, big long cutting tables where you cut fabric. And like our dad had those things. I was like, we kind of were watching that. We're like, holy shit.
Oh yeah. So question: is there
similar
like
to that.
Velcro just everywhere? Like
So
access, your access.
Oh yeah, it was just on like these giant spools.
But if
and
you
stuff.
needed some, could you just like?
we always had a spool.
Pressure sensitive had like it was pressure sensitive meant that it had like peeled off the back and you could stick.
I mean, it was a world.
In every college like dorm room we were ever in, there was like the remote control was like stuck to the wall so we wouldn't lose it with a little Velcro.
So
on
ahead
the
of
back.
its time.
Yeah, we were ahead of
We were
our
very
time.
ahead of a time.
But there, I have to say that you two must have been whirlwinds in St. Louis because there's nothing to do there. It is the most. I did stand up there and I was like, okay, I see. Okay, we've got half of the McDonald's sign and the bowling museum. What the f is there to do here?
There isn't a lot, but it was a great place to grow up. Like because there wasn't a lot, and because we weren't like overstimulated, like we grow up in New York City or something. Friends like that, we were like,
You had to make your own.
we had to be
Make
creative
our own
and we had to be funny, and we sought out other funny people within our sphere, both in St. Louis and through like camp and Jewish youth groups and all that other stuff in other cities. We connected those people together and we're like, let's be funny. This is how we're going to identify ourselves, is that we're going to be the funniest people. We're going to show up to parties dressed in weird ways and bring like a bucket of fried chicken at a high school party, and like we're gonna like mess with people. We're gonna like wear like long trench coats and go to the Busch Stadium and like just fuck with people and tell them that we're here with stadium police and like.
Oh, you would just go out.
Oh, we would like
But
around.
not for the sake of documenting.
No, just
anything.
being
You're
funny
just-
for ourselves and for our friends.
and for our
in the
friends, and
world.
you're like, we were cutting our teeth, sort of how to be funny in these ways, and it was like
Literal crowd work.
life crowd work.
Yeah.
And so that to me was more fun than like if our parents were stage parents and like we gotta get you out for these commercials and put you. We were able to kind of grow it on our own in an organic way, and of course we loved it so much, so we were like, let's just keep doing this stuff. And
Well,
then
also, you guys have to fuel each other. When there's someone else who's also as into it as you, it's like that can.
I also think
That
as
helped.
twins we were sort of like back in the day before fertility drugs, then there were so many twins. There was like a
wait. People just pick twins now. Is that a thing?
No, I think people are waiting to have kids longer to where your chances to have kids are reduced. So then, in order to goose it, sometimes for people, they have to take fertility drugs, which essentially means you are fertilizing as many eggs as you possibly can, and then so oftentimes you have multiple births.
So you guys are like organic twins.
I remember that, like in living in Brooklyn, there was like in the late '90s. There were so many double strollers.
Right. Yes.
We used to say the fertility twin
that revolution
is on its way. Yeah. The fertility twin army is advancing.
Yes.
We've got to clear the sidewalks.
Will not be
because
televised.
there's not going to be any room to walk. But you guys are natural
twins, and so and identical twins at that too, which is so it just was. It was a more of a kind of a weird standout-y thing, and so we had a lot of attention on us, and we kind of were like, what are we going to do with this attention? Like, do we just fall into all the things that are
it's
twin
a slippery
stuff?
slope. It's male cheerleader
is
one
male cheerleader is
avenue,
one.
you know, it
Male
goes that
cheerleader is
direction.
one.
And then there's obviously like the straight for gay or gay for pay porn industry.
Gay for pay porn industry would have been
because
huge.
twins are a hot. Come on, I'm sorry. That's
I
like
know. I
it's
couldn't
a
get
niche.
into good enough shape for that.
Do you
that's too much.
But y'all are athletes, or you just are
I was
sports
going to say
fans?
like a long
did
time
play
ago.
sports.
No,
I'll take it.
I don't think there should be twins in porn.
And,
I-
well, nobody
Wow.
does, Laura. No one.
So
is.
we were doing so we did this show, and we'll talk about it later, called Tag It, which we love. Like, again, this is like all part of what I was saying before about wanting to get funny people together. We love, that's why podcasting is so fun for us. That's why we like going to the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, because it's a bunch of comics together. Whenever we see Laura, we like lose our shit because it is fun just to riff around and be silly. That's what it is. So we do the show called Tag It, where our friends go up and do their sets. And while they're doing their sets, Jay and I are feverishly writing tags that we then pitch them on stage that they can like take after. I don't know where I was going to go with this.
Wait, but then do they go back on stage with the tags?
No, but like people will text us later and be like, tried the tags, they worked. Like, I forgot.
And then you invoice them.
Sophie
Yes,
Buttle,
we do.
she's so funny. She is such
Oh my
a
God,
funny comic.
she's wild.
So she did this funny bit about how she said, what was her bit about her boyfriend shave? Like he was needed to shave
his bush.
Right. It was too crazy. And she said, don't go nuts. And he thought that meant don't shave the nuts area. So he just kind of shaved on the top, and she said it was like
It's like
he looked Amish.
So it looked like
and then my joke that I tagged for her was that I pitched was every time I blow him, I feel like I'm making out with Abe Lincoln.
And then my pitch on top of that is like, except this time I was the one who took 2 shots to the head.
And she then tagged that with like, I can't make that joke in a theater. I mean, it was so fun.
I can't make that joke in the balcony of the
How does the balcony feel about that joke? Whatever. She added
That's
a tag to our
beautiful.
tags. That is the best feeling in the world. And then she texts us and she's like, I did the Abe Lincoln thing. It worked. And then I added this thing. And we're like, yes.
It's beautiful.
Hey, I have to, before we forget, I wanted to know, do your kids, do they want to do stand-up, or are they...
So out of our 4 kids,
My oldest daughter, Daisy, she's amazing. She's the most that would be our friend if she was around in the 90s. Like,
I know that's a great way to say it.
she's like,
the psychic thing was crazy. You got, do you
Yes.
psychics? Do you do psychics?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of course you do. I knew you
Yes.
would.
And also, I have a friend who goes to a pet psychic, and
We had a pet psychic too.
the
I'm like,
dog
this is
talked
bullshit.
about me to the pet psychic.
No, they
I'm
did
not
not.
kidding.
No, they did not.
Yes,
I'm going
they
to say
did.
that pet psychics are bullshit.
Set-
I was heartbroken.
There's
Lost
no
my
way-
The
dog.
dog didn't talk about you. The dog said,
Yes,
I'm not
it did.
fond of gays.
It was.
That
Hey,
sucks.
just because the dog was bigoted didn't mean I still want the attention.
Oh, I remember being heartbroken about my cat. Couldn't find my cat. And I actually called a pet psychic. We were both holding hands, closing our eyes.
You and the pet psychic?
Yeah, yeah.
And then what did they say?
And
she
she
said,
was kind of
like, can I do my impression of what she said?
Okay.
She was like, it's a cat. They don't like people. And that was it.
No,
So I'm like, how are you knowing this?
I was
No.
like, what was she doing with the other hand while your eyes were
Was she
closed?
under
Stealing
the
your
bed
purse?
because someone jostled a cabinet too loudly?
It was going to be
For
very
8 years?
spiritual. No, we were outside.
It's like I'm helping a woman, a straight woman look for pussy. I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted
Sklars, I'm talking about heartbreak.
That's right. So where was the cat? Was she right?
No, I never found the cat.
Of course.
We're both, our eyes are closed, and then she kind of starts going.
Did she have a
And I
fur
said,
ball?
"What?" Yeah, she had a fur ball.
She's like,
Sorry. So what did she do? I'm sorry about your cat. I am
She
sorry
killed the
about
My
cat.
significant other
That's
was
right.
missing, you guys. My
Right.
son
no.
was
I
a
can
cat.
understand.
And she said, every time I see your cat, he's having sex with a rabbit. And I said, well, he could do that in front of me, and he knows that. I would take them both in. I think that's bullshit.
I mean,
and I paid her $150. Right?
You're like,
Exactly.
I'm polyanimalist.
Yeah.
So,
But wait, you don't believe? Do you go to psychic?
this is
But
about
real
so
human
for
psychic.
for my 50th birthday, my friends like got me a phone call with a psychic, and she's in Phoenix. Her name's Lisa, and like
By the way, I don't know if that's a good psychic.
Lisa from Phoenix.
Yeah.
No, there's Monica on Ventura.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
And they
I mean,
hear clicks. I almost trust people on the phone more than in person.
by the way,
They hear, okay.
what's not
Psychic network?
Sonoma, right? Or Sonoma is that, or no, not Sonoma's up in
Flagstaff and
Sedona.
Sedona.
I've been to Sedona,
Yeah.
so like
Very,
she's
very
close to Sedona.
spiritual, yeah.
she's close to.
It's a
Sedona.
vortex. No,
it is a
first of all,
vortex. I've
and
been.
you
I've
can't-
hiked there. There are vortexes.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's a vortex. And
I guess I don't know.
Every time you order coffee, you have to get your aura read. It's
That's
so
right.
annoying.
That's right. And I only take my Oro with oat milk.
Well, I was at a Starbucks in Sedona, and they called out my aura, but they mispronounced my aura. I have an aura for Jason. Nope.
No,
It's Jason.
No.
You son of a bitch.
How do I know if that's my aura? So I get this. So the first thing I do, because I was like, listen, Lisa, let me just start by saying, I am 100% skeptical of everything that is here. Like, I don't believe that you are going to be able to tap into things. I just don't. But I have an open mind, and if you do, I will give it up if like you say things that I will 100% give you credit. I'm not trying to like prove my own theory here. And then I was like, wait, how did you know you had psychic powers? Like, were you just like standing in the grocery line and you could read the thoughts of the people in front of you? Or are you like, I got to turn this shit off? How can I do this?
Because we did a movie with Stephen Tobolowsky, and he was like, I have psychic powers, and I don't want them.
I don't want them.
Yeah.
I don't want them. I was
Yeah.
at a party, and I was like, I know something's going to happen to this person, and I don't want to know this information. And then I didn't say anything, and then the thing that I thought actually happened to them. And he was like, he's like, I don't want this at all. And then because he said I don't want it at all,
believed him.
We believed him.
I believed him because I always believe someone who's like, I don't want this, but here's what's going to happen.
Because my favorite was in the 90s. It was Sylvia Brown. It was Sylvia on every Wednesday on Montel Williams, right?
Oh, yes,
Every
yes.
Wednesday. And my favorite was her candor, which was lacking. She'd be gnawing on an acrylic nail.
Yes.
And some poor person would step up and be like, our uncle disappeared in like 1980.
Where is he?
And she's chewing on her finger. She's like, he drowned. He drowned. And just moves to the next one. Her side, she had no bedside manner at all.
I
mean, and
love
so
that.
He's with us right there in the back of the room.
And she was always wrong.
Going to drown.
No, he's right here. He's looking for his wife.
But so you
Oh, man, I love
you
that.
came in hot as a skeptic.
So I came in hot as a
Lisa.
skeptic, but I said I will give it up. And so what she said about my oldest daughter Daisy, to go back to your question, she said, and I was like, I don't know if I believe this, but there's something about, I have always described her the way I described to you, is like, this is somebody who, she was around when we were kids and went to camp or Jewish youth group, or or went at Michigan, where she now goes to the school that we went to, I would have been like, this is like our best friend. This is our best friend here. Do you know this person? She was like, you and your daughter knew each other in a previous life. You were both circus performers in a previous life.
Yeah.
You knew her and you loved her so much, not in a romantic way, just as a friend. Again, I've never said anything about this to her, and I've never posted anything like this. It's like all within my head or things that I've anecdotally said to other people. She was like, you loved her so much that you promised her you'd bring her into the next life with you, and you did. You brought her in as your daughter. And I was like, okay, that is fascinating and crazy.
You know what's
insight.
more fascinating is that you fired her from being the circus performer and hired this guy.
I know. Zero experience.
Where did you bring him in?
Yeah, where did he come
I don't
from?
know. 2 lives ago. So,
Wait, now we have to ask what day your birthday is.
Yeah.
so January 12th.
Okay.
It's our
Aquarius.
birthday. It's Capricorn.
Oh.
And my daughter's June 10th. So it just was.
I love that sort of thing.
So it was fascinating, and I believe it. She's doing improv comedy at Michigan. She's in the same group that like John Glazer and Matt Price and Mike Blyden and all those people were in. That's been around forever, and she's doing amazingly well. She wants to be a filmmaker and an actress. I'm like,
and a comedy person. I don't know if she necessarily wants to do stand-up, but she loves performing and she's great. It would be parental malpractice for me to be like, I want to tell her this is the worst business in the world. Please do not get into it. But I also want to be like, all right, go make your way. You love this.
Yeah.
You have it. She's got it. That's the crazy thing. She has it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm like, look, you could have it, be a hard worker, really make great work and still fail.
I think the hardest part is to like let her, I think from observing, let her develop in real time because like, when we started, we were terrible. Like when we were, she's further along than we were at that age.
But there is immediate access now, like not just through you, but just through media. There's totally different gateways to get there fast.
She is, and I believe, and again, I sincerely believe that I would definitely discourage her if I was like, you don't have it. Like this is too hard. Like I wouldn't say you don't have it. Totally. I would say,
have you considered being a pet psychic?
They can make lots of money by not knowing shit.
That's what we say when I see a comic struggling on stage. I'm never like, that comic sucks. I'm like, comedy's hard.
It's hard.
Comedy is super hard.
It's hard. You need to there are things we're learning now 35 years into doing stand-up that like help us in rooms that we're like, oh, we were doing a show the other night we did 2 shows at the other night, one at the Comedy Store in the main room, and it was like a 1980s comedy audience. They were up for
Smoking?
everything.
Yeah. You mean they were good?
They were great.
I thought it was
fire.
Okay.
They were on
They were
90s.
Oh yeah.
What are you?
Oh yeah.
No,
who are you related to?
It was
I
like,
had somebody ask
when
me
did you because you guys are like,
and then we went to the Improv later for a late night set, and it was all super young people, and we start to go into our material, and non-verbally on stage, like I think in other times in our life we would have just been sunk and just gone through our material and just been like, this is a bad set. We changed gears without even talking about it and put together a set that made sense for them. And I'm like, we're learning that now. There's so much to learn, like even at the beginning, but I'm sorry.
But you guys are like, there's 2 of you, but like your act is there's not twin act in stand-up going around. So at what point did y'all feel like confident that we've got this, we're strong, you know what I mean?
It was never our goal ever to be like known as the twin comics. We were always like, we have to be respected as comedians who just so happen to be twins and can kind of function in a way that
there were no twin act.
That's what I'm saying. You guys are going up against.
Yeah, well, but I mean, also before as we came into the world, we were like inspired by something. We were really most inspired by like.
I mean, there were guys who did like 2 acts in New York. So I don't know if you remember Premium Bob. Do you know who they were?
It's a great name.
They were more of a performance art act.
So we kind of broke into the New York scene in the early mid 90s, like in the downtown
alt scene.
So it was like eating it was at Rebar at the very beginning. Do you remember that? Like there was like
Then I went to Luna Lounge.
Rebar was
I came.
You were out here. You were out here.
Yeah, I was out here. Then.
But you did Luna Lounge back in the day.
Yeah, I love
So that was Monday night
Luna
show.
Park.
No, Luna Park is here
in LA.
Luna Lounge was like next
on
to
Ludlow Street.
Oh God. Okay.
So that was
where like Marin and Louis and even Chappelle would come down there, and like where Upright Citizens Brigade did their first set. Like
I saw them on tour in like 2000.
I was more amazing. I was like the comic strip and stand up New York.
So we did those too.
I love those too, but we kind of also so there was these 2 guys. They were like so interesting and they never even introduced premises. They were like performance art. They dressed in these like
UPS like.
Did you know Ross Sachs? They're British, but they're these 2 dudes.
No,
they were same era though, like 80s, 90s. But sorry, go ahead.
Did not know them, but these guys were just interesting in the way they played off each other and the way like one person would build this and then another person would build here. There was a tall guy and a short guy. They were both fascinating to watch. And one they would do like David Niven impressions and like they were just fascinating. Red Johnny and the Round Guy were like 2 guys who I liked the way their performance, their energy.
We kind of went away from that quickly, but
we did.
But we were inspired by how much power they came on stage with.
We're like, I like this.
You don't want to be considered a novelty, so that's probably why. But also, like, do you have a thing where they say, "Well, we're paying you separately," or is it like 2 comics? Or
no, I mean they would never pay us. That's like our joke. People are like, "What's the best part about being a comedy team?" And we say it's that we get to split the money. Yeah, that's terrible. That's awful. Why let us split? They allow that to happen.
But they won't. But they won't give you more. They won't say you can't say, "Hey, we're 2 people."
So I think So it's interesting because we've been in this era now. We've been sort of shifting what our deals are when we go out on the road so that if we hit a certain number of tickets that we sell, it switches to a percentage, which is way better for us.
Oh,
and
great.
so like you're moving off the guarantee. If you do well enough, it's really up to us to sell those tickets. But if we do well enough, then it's like, oh, this is like what we should be making.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like, this feels commensurate with the amount of work and to go away from home and all that other
Sure.
stuff and where we feel like we're at as far as comedy.
I mean, you guys are like in it for 30-ish years. Would you put
Yeah,
it at
we
that?
started
So
in-
if we started at 15,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Started 15 and
And
that
we're
was
52,
92.
so
That was
that's
80,
37 years.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's
'Cause
great.
I-
But for
38.
real, getting paid to do it,
Yeah.
like doing it like the summer before our senior year of college, we started doing it in St. Louis and performing in like the open mics and then moved up to
Because we applied for, do you remember stand up and short attention span theater?
HBO Downtown Productions. Okay, so that's in New York.
It was
What
in
is
New
that?
York, and it was a production company that was, and Randy and I were like, let's apply for internship.
This is how dumb we were. This is how much non-guidance. We're like,
yeah.
we'll go work at a place that's making funny stuff and we'll be funny and they'll be like, let's put these guys on the air.
Sure.
What
But
is
that's
that? Like
an
an
actor's
old Hollywood model.
Yeah, it is a little.
That's
yeah.
So crazy.
Like if a child was like, I'm gonna build a missile, like that's what you'd see what it is. Like that's what we were
Child
trying.
was like, I'm going to draw a truck. It would look like the new Tesla.
New
truck.
Tesla
Anyway,
Well, no,
truck,
but
that's
you could have been like sitting in an ice cream shop and then been discovered. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Lana Turner.
Uh-huh.
And
well,
something.
to be around it, maybe we thought we would
Yeah.
at least understand what it took to get there. And also, we were like, we'll live in New York. We'll live in NYU dorms. We'll do stand up. We'll do open
But
mics.
that was how you thought you needed to be seen. That was the
Right.
whole. Someone had to see you and then make it happen for
Yeah,
you. Like
right,
that was
right.
the gate. The
So
way.
we both applied. We came to New York together to interview for this job, and we made funny shit and like all this whole packet of weird, funny stuff, our interview stuff, and we turned it in and we had a great time. And then we told our friend, who is currently a TV writer now, who we ended up moving to New York and living with, and
LA too.
We were like, dude, apply for this internship.
The three of us will do it. It'll be so much fun.
We just applied. We just interviewed.
Condiment
Call them
to
up.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're like, go do this. And so he's like, okay. And we were at Michigan. He was at Cornell. We're like, we're gonna spend the summer between junior and senior year together in New York. And we start like looking at apartments, all this stuff. He applies. He gets the job. We don't get it.
right. Oh my God.
And so now we're stuck. We're like, what the f- are we gonna do? So we are back in St. Louis. We get a job at a very cool like production company in St. Louis, and then we're like, let's do stand up this summer.
So we started doing it at the Funny Bone, do like open mic nights, and then graduate to Best of St. Louis nights. Then we start to get paid to do it, like opening for people coming through.
Oh, that's great.
And as soon as we got to that point, we then went back to college. We started doing it at college. We started doing it at the Ann Arbor Comedy
I
Showcase,
think
then
it's crazy
Detroit.
to be that young and to be that
I
like
know.
focused.
We were driven.
Well, we were
Yeah.
driven, but there were times where we'd be driving into Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, and we were driving there. You know, this is before you have Google Maps, so we're like trying to figure out where we're going, and we're young, and all our friends are like, "We're going to this party tonight. What are you doing?" We're like, "We got to go to work in the coal mine." Like, you know, like driving in, and we're like, "We're not funny in that way. We're, you know, we're okay for college."
So we brought, this is a great story. You will love this if you care. I say it's a great story. You might like hate it, but we bring in the Andy Kindler. He was our favorite comedian.
Oh, I
like,
love Andy.
we went to see Andy Kindler
on New Year's at Catch a Rising Star downtown St. Louis at Union Station.
Oh
New
my
Year's
God.
Eve. New Year's Eve.
That's
And-
such a specific choice to spend New Year's Eve.
Oh,
doing
we're
comedy.
as
It's
comedy
so, yeah.
fans,
we were like,
going
what are we
crazy.
going to do? We're going to go see Andy.
Oh,
I think
I love
Chip
that.
Chinnery opened
Oh,
for
I
him.
know. Yeah.
Wonderful guy. So Chip goes up and he does fine. I mean, it's the St. Louis drunk New Year's Eve audience. It's the worst group of people
crowd
on the
and
planet.
everything about it.
And then Andy gets up and he's so funny. We're dying. Everything he's saying is funny, but the crowd is like not having it. They're not into him because they're too dumb. They don't understand what he's doing. So now people are talking and they're getting restless. And then some woman like starts yapping at him and he starts going back at her and he's like, "Where's your HBO special?" And he starts carving her up. And then people start leaving because it's not what they wanted from New Year's Eve. They wanted some big dumb party,
Right.
whatever. And Kindler's being Kindler. He's doing like jokes on the jokes.
Hilarious.
And so like half of the room, not half the room, but
he walked a significant
He walked a
amount of the room
significant
on New Year's Eve, which the club was not happy. So afterwards, we're like, we got to talk to him because we're having the best time. There's no human way he would think that on the strength of that show, he would get a booked up on another thing. We're like, we
want you to come to the University of Michigan. And
we
he's
can
like,
pay you like $3,000. I mean, whatever it was like super nice for like 1993.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
off of like a nightmare gig, he books another gig. And we're like, come to Michigan. And so we bring him to
We're
Michigan.
comics. We'll open up for you. Is that okay? He's like, yeah, of course. So he comes. We're like, will you watch our set of comedy and just tell us honestly what you think. Like, be honest about what you think. So we're hanging out with him a lot, and he's so funny, and we're being funny around hanging out with him. Afterwards, we go out for like pancakes at this place called Silverman's, of all places. Go to Silverman's, we have pancakes, and we're talking to him. We're like, all right, like, be honest. What do you think?
We're going to law school.
We're both into law school, and like that's where we're going.
Fucking nuts.
It's nuts.
And not even the same law school. Jay got into Emory, which is in Atlanta. Unbelievable law school. I got into George Washington, another great top 25 law school.
You see this brag? It's so
This
nuts.
is
Like,
where
who
we were
doesn't-
going to go.
Yeah.
And
No,
like,
it's
and
amazing.
then we're like, what do you think? He's like, okay. He's like, you guys are really funny when we're hanging out. I can tell you guys are just, there's something really interesting about it. Kind of echoed what the people from the place a couple years earlier had said to us. Super interesting and whatnot. You're going to have to lose basically all of your material. Like, what? He's like, you got to go to a coast, either go to LA or go to New York, and you guys will be in it and insert yourself into or start watching, hanging out in the comedy scenes there. They're great comics in both places. They will force you to write material. Just you'll be around it and you'll want to write material that matches what they're doing. And in 3 years, you'll be on TV. We were like, so he started by saying you got to get rid of everything. So he kind of like the psychic was like, you know, he was kind
Gave
of
an honest account, which made me believe him more.
he wasn't blowing
Absolutely,
smoke.
yeah.
And then, so we raced home after we dropped him back off his hotel. We called our parents and we're like,
not
Andy says we don't have to go to law
not
school.
going to law school.
Who the hell is Andy? Kindler.
That's amazing.
And we just saw Andy this at Moon Tower, and we always remind him of this story. Always tell him, and he's
It's like, I haven't seen a dime from that.
I would have thought there would have been compensation.
Residual effect. So we were like, all right, Andy, whatever. But I mean, it was a wonderful moment of this person that we really loved. It kind of mirrors what, like, who was saying this? Like when Gary Shandling went to go see in the documentary,
George
went to go
Carlin.
see George Carlin and wrote all these jokes, and Carlin was
Carlin
like,
read them, and then
read
afterwards
them.
like, hey, I think there's some funny
There's
jokes.
some
They're
good
not
ones
all
in
good,
here.
but there's some good ones in here.
Yeah.
Shandling
That
was like-
encouraged him. But I think what Andy did for us, and I will give him this, he simply by doing that, by being generous of his heart and taking the time to tell us, yeah, I think there's something here. It completely informed how we are around everyone else in this business.
Why
It's
we do a
the
show-
Tag It show. Tag It show is about community and comics supporting comics and being like, I love what you just did, and I just want to add this to it. Or you built this beautiful building, and we're going to put a flower on the penthouse because you made it great. That thing is what we. And to young comics, it's like we tell them, we encourage them, we say, do this. It's a thing.
I hosted for Emo Phillips once, who I love.
I love Emo
Love. I knew the feature did not know what he was dealing with, but I was like, he's amazing. And it was at the end, and I was just trying to keep my distance. And it was I had some stupid joke about Bill Clinton being an Uber driver, which is outdated.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, it's not.
I got off stage, and then the feature's on, and Emo's just there, and he calls me over and goes, what are two funny things about Clinton being an Uber driver? He was like, think about it. I was like, I got a tag from Emo Phillips in a dark corner of the comedy club.
Great. That's so great. That's a great moment. It's validation.
I was like, he's listening to me.
right. He wouldn't give a shit.
loving it.
Yeah.
He would not care. He would not offer
100%.
that up. That's the ultimate like compliment.
But he was right. He's like, dig deeper. That's what he was saying. It was like, it wasn't like that. It was like, think harder.
Okay, let me darken the mood.
Yes, let's do it. Come on.
The conjoined twins who just died.
Oh yeah.
They died?
I thought one of them got married.
Yeah, which is the same.
Right. It's
is
death
a-
of
it is a death of sorts.
Death of independence.
They were 62, the conjoined twins. They're
Oh, maybe.
conjoined at the face.
I can't believe they lived to be 62.
Yeah, I know. I was really stunned.
Great life.
Do you ever?
I plan on checking out by then.
So we've done every conjoined twins thing. Like we're not going to do any more. Like we were conjoined twins in the Oblongs, that animated series.
Oh my God, okay.
We were the sons on that show, but conjoined, and we were conjoined twins in a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, called Bubble Boy, which
Wow.
So we go in, and Gregory Mosher. It was Gregory Mosher. Who was the director?
Greg Mosher was the prime.
Was the
kid.
prime-
Do you
game.
ever say like, okay, we are willing to do this, but there's certain parameters. We're not willing to be conjoined, say,
At the dick.
yeah,
And it's,
or at the ear or mouth to mouth.
So we
Only
no,
ass.
almost.
Yeah.
So we were like, so they said, come up with carrot. We love you guys. Come up with something to do. You guys can be freaks in the freak thing of Bubble
Freak
Boy,
circus.
the freak circus, the traveling circus. We're like, okay. So we literally are thinking this. We're like, okay, what if one of us was transvestite, and the other one was an Orthodox rabbi, conjoined at the head.
Hilarious.
Meaning
Beautiful.
that
A woman who transitioned had to go to rabbinical school.
That
That
for
for
us
us
was
was
Wow.
and it's all in our backstory.
That
and
is
very
really
funny.
nice.
and we did it, and they were like, and we went in an audition with it, and they were like, this is hilarious, we're going to do it. So we had to get prosthetics built, and
we
this
said
like
connected at the head.
and we were
fuck.
like connected at the head, which
Amazing.
was again,
A
but
nightmare.
also like it's like the person who takes a giant bite of food on the first take. You're like, dummy, you got to do that 18 times
Oh,
now,
yeah.
you dummies. And so we didn't really understand it that we'd be connected at the head, and
Yeah.
it was like it hurt our neck. It was like
Yeah.
it was just stupid, but it was a funny bit, and it was interesting. But like we've done every
Grey's
single.
Anatomy.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I want to see these.
We did Grey's Anatomy where we were conjoined, and it was a huge episode. It was the week after Isaiah Washington
Washington.
made the anti-gay
So
remark.
then everybody's watching. Yeah,
So everyone's watching.
Yes.
and he wasn't on the episode. They took him out of
sent
the
off the
episode.
set, right?
He was
or
sent off the
something?
Senate. So we're
Yeah.
there, and there's like a scene where like all the doctors are in there, like
to look at this weird case. And they built a prosthetic for us, which was crazy. We
so
had to
every
slide into it.
McDreamy, Heigl, everybody's in there, and they're like, and
They
you'll
just- so they
you'll
gotta-
understand
So they
that.
got to do the
hilarious.
master. All right,
Yeah.
it's getting late in the night. It's the last scene of the day. They save it.
Also,
to the end.
bad setup to do it that way, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's a big scene, okay? And they want to grab the master, and then they want to pick off all
Yeah.
the
Coverage.
And why did you guys wait so long to be unconjoined as part of it, right?
So the thing was, I mean, if you want me to kill it for you, and
Yeah.
So the storyline of the show was that
we were conjoined twins, but both fell in love with the same girl, and then
we wanted to separate
Separate,
to
so
see who she loved more, who would end up with her,
Who she'd
and then
crawl
we
to.
decide at the end
and that we don't want to be with her, that we were just
our
happy.
relationship is more important.
So it's a great thing. And
But then
Twitch,
the best was our dad.
Oh, see, now here's how I would have wrote it. I
Yeah.
would think, okay, the one I like,
Tag it.
I'm gonna have. He's gonna have. The other one's gonna have to die,
Right.
So that I can be just with the one I like, and there's no competition.
right? So our dad then
May he rest
after May he rest in peace called afterwards and was like called us and said, okay, you guys should call Shonda Rhimes. We're like, we don't have her number. Call Shonda Rhimes and tell her
that next week.
yeah,
This is
we're
how
like-
much he doesn't understand how TV
It's
works.
like you guys should come back next week and they should sew you back up together.
Like that you want to be
Yeah.
conjoined
Joined
again.
And we're like,
Dad,
it's the
come on."
dumbest. And then we're like, that's the most Shonda Rhimes thing.
Honestly, yeah.
Ever.
I'm like, how does he know this?
Also, look at your dad knowing that the 2-part episode was really what was going to get you
Thank you.
back.
More
like
money.
that.
And so,
Uh-huh.
but the idea that he was like, that is such a Grey's Anatomy.
It's a great comedy bit too.
yeah.
The twins that get sewn back
who
up.
want to
like-
be like conjoined.
I mean,
again.
like that
No
to
one's
me could be
ever-
like
we made a
that could be
mistake.
like a Nichols and May bit. Like the two people who
Love
come in
Nichols
and they're
and
like,
May.
come back to the doctor. You've separated us. This is like an old school comedy bit.
Absolutely.
And we're like, we've come. We want to get back together.
It's easier for us to do it together.
Did you ever see A New Leaf?
No.
Oh, it's Nichols and May. It's Elaine May wrote it, and she's
Oh
in
my
it with
God.
Walter Matthau. It's
Oh
one
my God.
of my favorite movies.
I
would
love
watch it
them
in a
I
heartbeat.
love them
A New Leaf.
so much, and just love their. So like later that we talked about people who influenced us. Like this is a long
Yeah,
time
yeah.
ago. So it was those comedians, but it was also
Beastie
like the
Boys.
Beastie Boys. They were huge in the
yeah.
'90s
Yeah.
as Jews. They're like the greatest all
on the
star
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore of Jews. The three of them, and then I'm trying to think who else would be
Mark
it.
Spitz?
I don't know, maybe Rod Carew.
Have you
But-
met the Beastie Boys?
So we did. We
Oh,
met.
great.
So we only met Yauk. May he rest in peace. We were doing we were in New
Morning
York doing a
TV.
morning TV to
We
promote.
were
like,
doing comics, I think. We were
Yeah,
doing a
doing-
comedy club in New York.
and they
he was promoting a basketball documentary. And we were on the same morning show. And we're
Can I
like,
tell you, I love morning news
Love
for
it.
these
It's
reasons.
insane.
Because first
And-
of all, they never have enough time for you.
never.
no.
Never. And
know.
there's a cooking segment. I'm sorry, we have no
Gotta
time.
get to it.
Yeah.
Like,
Can we have you stand there in the cooking segment? Are
Yeah.
we saying anything? No, but
No.
we just want
Okay.
you standing there. Sure.
Yeah.
So we saw Yauk and we were like,
We're like, you have no idea what you mean to us. And in fact, Neil Strauss, the great Neil Strauss, writer who did The Game, wrote the book The Game. Remember Mystery, the guy who would like nag women and be like,
Yeah,
you
no, how-
suck.
how
and
to succeed with women,
succeed.
essentially.
He
Yeah.
wore like a big floppy
pickup artist.
Jamiroquai
Yeah,
hat.
TV show called The
Yeah.
Pickup.
It was like a handbook.
Yeah, it was a handbook. So Neil Strauss, who wrote that, was writing for the New York Times. And
He also wrote like rock books. Like, I think he wrote the Guns N' Roses. Maybe, I'm not sure.
he was amazing and
Don't
is
you
amazing.
think Guns N' Roses should cover like early Celine Dion?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I mean, he now kind of
color
looks
that.
like
That's what I'm saying.
he looks like your
He
aunt.
cover Ethel Merman too.
I know.
Hey.
So he wrote one time, wrote an article about these two shows that we were doing in New York, and he at one point said that our stuff reminded him of like the rhymes of the Beastie Boys. Wow. One would come in, the other would come in, and we'd sometimes come in together, and that was like the greatest quote we've ever had because we love those guys so much.
Yeah.
And we just were like, they're having fun. You watch the Beastie Boys and you say to yourself, especially live, you're like, I want to be in their group. I know it's not possible, but I want to be a part of this crew of people.
Wish fulfillment.
Wish fulfillment. And so I think we took a big part of that through.
And later we did a pilot written by John Rigi, who's amazing and just the best. We wrote a pilot for us was he the one who got us to watch Nichols and May? He was like, watch this Nichols and May. Watch all this old, we knew it, but like, he's like, watch all this stuff and listen to all this. He got us a Nichols and May CD. And that's when we really took like a deeper dive into their stuff. And we were like, oh, he's wanting us to do that because they are anticipating what the other person is going to say.
That rhythm.
And not being afraid to crosstalk because it made sense and knowing when to like trail off. And it was a lot of listening while you were talking.
Yeah, it's faders.
Yeah,
You're just
faders.
fading and
Exactly. It's like
crossfading.
DJ. It's like DJ stuff.
Yeah.
Literally, you're like, okay, I'm going to bring this down and bring this up here. And
I bet you two can sing.
So we can sing a little bit. We don't have great
wish.
voice. I
I
wish
wish.
we had like better voices, and if we ever took like voice lessons, maybe we could be okay. Like we like it. There are a couple of shows like the Goddamn Comedy Jam, which is so much fun. Our friend,
I saw you guys on that. It was a long time ago.
So we do that. Where you do a little comedy and then sing with a real band, and it's and I love karaoke.
That show, but to have backed by a live band that
great
like
band?
kicks ass.
Okay,
is like that's
what's
a
your
rock star
go-to
moment.
karaoke song?
Unfortunately,
You don't have one?
Oh no, I do.
Oh, that's right.
But
Give me top three.
The fact that you think he does it?
I know, but they said
No, but mine
unfortunately.
suck, and that's
What
why
are
I said
they?
it's either Fleetwood Mac, Sarah, the long version.
That's fantastic.
Great one. That's a good one.
Any Carpenter song,
Anything.
or Selena, Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, because I can sing
wow.
that frontwards and backwards. Yo. I'm from
God
Texas,
damn.
so
Okay,
yeah.
there you
That's
go.
a good one.
But that's cultural appropriation.
it's not. Who
Fleetwood
cares?
Mac makes me look and sound old. And then the Carpenters it's homosexual in nature. So when I do it, it's show tunes.
And it's anorexic appropriation.
But she looked great, damn it.
She did. She was and could play the drums.
Okay, so wait, you guys, I'm going to skip just for a second. Y'all did America's Got Talent, which, same. Okay, but here's
I
the
love
thing.
the look at both of your faces.
I feel like, so when you're a
can now talk
singer,
about it.
you can be like, they're like, please welcome the janitor who has this voice of an angel, right?
Totally.
But the transition from tell us about yourselves to do your act when you're
The worst.
stand-up
The
is
worst.
the worst
It's like when you go to
ever.
It's like when you go to a college and they're introducing you and they're like, your comedians, the Sklar brothers, have been seen on. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you say the name at the end, you dumb.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
Jay's
Suddenly, Jay's Todd Glass.
I'm like, you put the lighting low and then you.
Oh my god.
But that's
seriously.
I mean, what if I said
Todd
Correct.
Glass. What if I said this? What if I just took this glass and threw it at the camera?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I love that. I love that. I saw
But I mean, I
that.
wouldn't do it. But like, what if I threw it in the thing and I just smashed it? You'd be like,
It's
that's
not something I would do. But
Would that
if
be the
I
end
did
of the
it-
interview? I don't know. So here's our America's Got Talent.
Because
story.
it's highly curated.
it's
We should have never, ever.
we should have trusted our instincts.
Our
Okay.
instinct. So they
Yeah.
came
Okay, I'm
to
so
our.
glad.
I have a question to ask.
Yes,
Do
yeah.
you two ever like? Do your nerves like? I mean, do you get nervous? And if you do, is it like? Oh, you're making me nervous, or I mean, do you?
Oh, do we feed on the
off each other?
nerves? Do the
Or no-
nerves
or no?
swirl us
I
up?
think we
No.
got nervous when we did late night sets because
okay.
it's so short and we are not giving you exactly what you think you want, and it takes like a minute to like get used
The
to.
last late night set we did was Conan right before the pandemic shut everything down. That Monday of 2020, we did it, and I remember we were like, we knew the set so well, and we knew it, and I'm like, come on, let's just. I want to enjoy this because we've had great sets, and then we've had sets where we're like, where did that go? What happened there? And it was phenomenal. I'm like, we figured it out. We know what we're doing, and then the pandemic. shut down.
Wait a second, but
Why?
then do you guys ever blame each other when it sucks?
Oh yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes be like, where were you? Well, you weren't on it on this, and you were, where's your brain? And I mean, yes.
Whose
I mean,
fault
we're-
is it usually?
His. No, I'm just kidding. No, we both have screwed up in the past. But go ahead. What
Oh,
you-
so America's Got Talent. So they reached out to our agent and said, and he called us and he's like, America's Got Talent wants you to do it. And we're like,
to be like to interview people as they're going through
be-
it.
yeah,
to be like
part of the
part of the
part of the
show.
show.
Of course, yes.
That was our thought because we're like, that's the only reason you're calling us to
Yeah.
do it.
Or like, did Howie stepped out? We would be the judges for comedy. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't even know what they were saying. And we're like, okay, that sounds cool. And he's like, no, to do it. And we're like, to do stand up on it? No. And he was like, well, before you say no, and I give him credit because this is something we were saying to him a lot, was like, we love going and doing stand-up on the road, and we'll walk around in cities that we're in, and so many people will be like, Sklar Brothers, what do you? And then the worst thing you can hear as a comic,
why are you here?
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? We're like, so the marketing mix.
Yeah.
If you don't know why we're here, you should be saying, Sklar Brothers, I'm seeing you tomorrow night.
Yep.
Like, that's what we want.
And we'll get a bunch of people from seeing them out just eating and hanging out in a town. We'll get them to come to the show. But then like a portion of them are like, I'm going out of town.
I wish
this
I
week.
knew.
I wish I would have
wedding."
known. I have this. So
we would complain to him. We're like, I don't understand how we have so much recognition where we go and the rooms aren't full.
Yeah.
And it's making us sad. So he's like, you say that to me and I have a solution. Go on America's Got Talent. It's you performing in front of 8 million people.
Wow.
It's you doing your bits. You'll
You
go.
guys are clean.
He
You
made
guys
this.
don't really-
We can do it cleanish.
Yeah.
And we're edgy, but we could do it clean. And
Right.
he was like, he said that whole pitch, and we were like, no,
Yeah.
we don't want to do it. But it
Yeah.
just doesn't feel right.
We're
Like,
past
Someone,
that.
and when
We're
a deal,
past it.
When a deal, exactly. But when a deal is offered, and this is such a trust your gut industry anyway. But it's like, is someone's gut? Sometimes you're like, I think this is good for us. Like, how hard is that conversation?
So Jeff Ross came to us and said, I want you guys to roast each other on the roast battle, and it should hurt just a little bit. We're like, okay, Jeff, you want us to destroy like a 35-year working relationship and
dismantle the-
50-year living relationship in one night? He's like, kind of. We're like, how much are you going to pay us? He said $2,500. We're like, each? He said, yeah. We were like, all right. But whatever.
each.
But like, I remember he said each. So I just remember him asking us on a Friday to do it. We saw him at the store. And we're like, Jeff, we're not going to answer you now. We're going to think about it over the weekend.
Because we respect you a ton, but this doesn't feel like what we do. We're
But
not.
what he said to us
Yeah.
is like, you can't see what I see. I see you guys, and it would be like a different roast. It would be like,
So no one would question that you know each other. No one would question that you have love for each other.
it'd be the deepest, best thing we could do. And so he really made a plea, and we're like, Jeff, we're not going to say no. We're going to actually really think about it and sleep on it over the weekend and tell you. Came back on, we talked about it. We really mulled it over, like chewed it up and like spit it out. And we're like, okay, let's give it a try. Why not? Why not? We should not back down from doing stuff like this. We should do it. We did it. It was incredible. We loved it so much. We've been in like other roasts and whatnot. We've judged a ton of roasts. We're very, very closely connected with that show. And like, it was like the best thing that could have happened to us. We use some of that roast sometimes in our act when we do it on the road. It was a blast. He was right. So we're coming off of that and we're like, maybe we are not seeing this the right way. You have to allow for yourself to not know everything.
Totally.
But our gut was telling us, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
And
So we said, kindly thank them and please say no. And so then he came back to us. He's like, they're pushing.
They're
They
pushing so hard. They won't accept no for an answer. They want to.
Like, who are they?
It's
Harvey
not
Weinstein?
an opportunity.
Yeah.
But
It's not an opportunity, but
just high stakes
But our
performance.
fear was, and this is what we kept saying over and over again, is this going to look bad? Like, are people who are up and comers going to be like, why are they taking that spot? It's like when I see like a huge celebrity doing a commercial, then I'm
Right.
like, why do you
But
need
like
to do
for
that
Wendy
commercial?
Liebman, it totally like boosted her.
So-
I thought.
so
Did she do it? She
as a
did it?
viewer, yeah, she
Oh, see, I
got
didn't
far.
either.
But as a viewer, and I'm also a hardcore Wendy Liebman fan, it was like I was
We are
like,
too.
yes, get it.
Tom
It's-
Cotter is another person who like went very far, and like Preacher Lawson is the comic who was
Yeah.
like, you guys should do it. And so we asked a bunch of people. We asked friends who had done Last Comic Standing. We asked tons of people. We really mulled it over once they kept coming back, and we're eventually people are like, just do it because you're going to do your material. So we thought, okay, I guess we're doing it. So we get there and meanwhile we were doing an animated version of our podcast for Amazon, and we had just cast it,
awesome.
and it didn't go, thank you, but it was a great experience.
I mean,
We wrote a
awesome.
whole season. It was the ending was terrible, but the experience was awesome, and we had done a pilot, and so we were in the midst of doing that, so we were feeling good about ourselves elsewise, so we didn't really care. So we get there,
So like we're there. They're like got us in a holding area with all these other knuckleheads,
for
and
like all day. And
Meanwhile,
we're-
you guys are working professional.
right,
comedians
we're
already.
on the phone listening into the recording session of
voice
like a
section for
voice
our pilot,
of
because we have to
someone
give
doing a
notes.
thing because we have to give notes, and we're listening into that, and they're like, "You guys got to come over here." We're like,
No, we
You
don't.
got to wait 1 second because we're actually doing some You know what I mean?
So we're like, we can't be in the holding cell with all these, or this thing with all these people.
Can
like,
you give us a
can you
room
give us
where we
private
can-
area? We're
Yeah.
like asking for all this stuff. We're like, if we're gonna do your dumbass show,
Right.
you got to like
Yeah.
move us into a place where we can be.
And meanwhile, the people, sorry to keep interrupting you, but they are just trying to run a talent show.
Totally.
That's
It's-
all they're trying to do.
And they're
understand
dealing
that.
with a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah.
It's not like, so finally, you know, they interview us backstage and they're like guiding us to these things that we don't really want to say. We don't want to be like, you know, and as we're doing it, we understand what they want. They want someone to be like, I lost my mother a week ago and now I'm living in my
shit.
car. Or the woman who, you know, that really sad, beautiful singer who died of cancer, like through the process of the show, Nightingale, whatever her name was. That's what they want. That's what you want.
By the way, that's amazing.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's the story,
inspirational.
yeah.
As you watch it, you're
That's
like,
what I want for the show.
right, not us, not two successful people who are, you know, not super successful, but like we have been working at this for a really long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we need, y'all need a spot on television.
Right.
These other people need like a leg up.
Like
y'all are
So
just
they're
doing
going.
a set.
They bring a doctor in. You don't have liver spots. You don't
Nothing.
have
Nothing. I'm like,
wrong
no.
with it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
can we redo the MRI? What's
Yeah.
happening here? Let me do a quick colonoscopy.
Call Sedona. What did their aura say?
Yeah.
But there's a
Jason.
Well, what would have been it? Yeah, Jason order for Jason, not me.
How do they pronounce it Jason?
stupid. He's
That
just-
is unbelievable.
joking. All right,
Okay.
So the story that would have been great would have
You
been
mean
if-
they didn't?
would have been if Randy was a comic and was failing. Okay.
Alright.
And then he found out he had a twin brother because our parents got separated.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
we found each other
Right.
and started doing comedy together. And then we're going
So it's
on
like
this-
identical strangers, like that crazy movie about the triplets in New York.
Oh
who all,
yeah,
like,
that yeah,
Right.
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that
those
was our
guys
story.
wound up doing, and they probably did. I'm sure the three of them did do stand up comedy.
But that is the kind of thing that's right for the show.
Yeah.
So we get out there, and you're right. They interview you first, which is the weirdest thing in the world.
Get out there,
Yeah.
and Howie, who knows this, is like, oh my god, you guys don't understand how great these guys are.
He was very wonderful to us. I think Sofia Vergara might be on the spectrum. Like, I don't know, in a way where she just.
And we're back.
No, I don't.
Now who's being too mean?
No, I mean, and not in a bad way. I just don't know that she understood what we were doing or what the language.
Simon, and again, we did our
Oh,
set.
y'all were there for Simon.
So Simon was like, he got it. I mean, Simon is like savvy, and he's like, oh my god, I love you guys. He's
He's like, you're naughty.
He's like, you're naughty. You're naughty. We're like, we're not really naughty, but I understand what you're saying. I think you mean edgy, but you don't have the words to use to describe this
Yeah.
comedy because you just aren't like, you're looking at singers and people on a unicycle who can do opera.
Correct.
And like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're.
It's so crazy, but also it's like America's Got Talent judged by people without any.
I mean,
So here's how I would
So
describe.
then-
here's how I would describe it. We've been doing comedy for
great point.
so long. We've been and then there's
except for Howie.
Klum.
Then Heidi Klum. So Heidi Klum.
Borderline Nazi. So
Like,
like,
so Klum then is like,
Klum is
I want
like
the three of
we're
you in
like,
a room.
Klum's like, what's the final solution? We're like, don't use that. Don't use
there's no need. I thought it was the final answer. And then as we're walking off, she said, we need to cleanse the stage.
That's so weird.
no.
I'm just kidding. But she did put us. She said mud races.
Mud
I think
race. She
said
did
the
put us
phrase-
on a train and send us home.
Yeah, so she's
my
like, more of a cattle cart.
She didn't tell you where you were going.
She
you know?
did not.
Leave your shoes and go.
That's right. Leave your shoes and, your
eyeglass-
fillings.
and her
Took the fillings out of your
eyeglasses.
teeth.
She took our
fillings
fillings.
out of our teeth.
So
She hurt your feelings.
she hurt our feelings.
So they didn't get it. She's like,
Klum is like,
I've seen funnier.
I've seen funnier-
I've laughed harder at people, and we're like,
good.
yeah,
Good.
You shouldn't. laugh
Our
at
shit isn't for you.
It's
Are
like
you allowed to talk back when they're criticizing?
We
you just-
kinda
just
were
The
take
audience
it.
will boo you
well, we
if
kind of
you're a
were
bad
so
sport.
we kind of like we're like that's
Oh,
that's your
your
opinion, and
interesting-
that's the great part about comedy. It's a subjective thing. And
But we were trying not to fight back. But it was
the
very
audience will turn again. They will boo your ass.
so
if
then
you-
in the end,
But
they
we
were-
got all four. Yes,
it kind of went through, and like Simon's like, of course, and Howie's like, absolutely, of course, and Sophia was like, I don't know what I saw, but they're great, and so we're like, and then
give her a lollipop.
right, and then Heidi's like, well, I mean, the three of them like it, so I guess I have to do it too. We're like,
You don't have to do anything.
and as we're standing up there, we were like, this is exactly
Exactly
why
why
we
we
should
did
not
not
have done
do
this
that.
shit,
Yeah.
and why the gut was right, and we should never have done it. And so we got off and we talked to the producers. We're like, that was awful, and now it's amazing. And we would encourage you to cut the shit that Heidi said, and we're going to continue to hit that drumbeat over and over because she doesn't know what she's talking about, and it really is bad. And you're the ones who wanted us on this show, and like we're just like
we're getting demanding. We're
Absolutely.
because we're like now we're at the point where like no,
it's going to be
So
Did
we
you
call
go
it-
back? Did you agree to go back?
So what happened was
Because there's like, I don't know what y'all can say, but I can say there's layers to like, if you have to sign a contract, and then the further into it, the more of a hold they have on you. So however far into the show you want to get is like,
also they don't pay you. They
Until-
don't
yeah,
pay you
correct.
for doing stand up on television.
I was like, you
What the
guys
f- is that? I'm
should've
like,
paid us.
how
Yes.
dare you?
You have
How
to
da-
get
You should
to-
pay us real money. We did stand up on your show. We were getting livid, right?
Yeah.
So then we find out that we're not gonna. Well, so then it airs, and Twitter is blowing up. Of people being like, why are the Sklars on this thing? Why are they doing
and we were
this?
like, this is the other reason
Exactly.
we said we should not be doing
They
this.
shouldn't be doing this. Aren't they?
Not that they're bad.
Not, it wasn't that our performance.
They
was
were mad because they're like, these guys
Guys are past
are
this.
professionals.
Don't need it.
They don't need it.
I
And
thought this was an amateur talent show and blah 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 blah, and they shouldn't be doing this. And like the show got flack It was
because
like, why
they
are you-
cut Howie saying these guys are amazing. So it looked like Howie didn't know us.
How does
These-
Howie not know them?
these
Like
guys.
it's just all these things
Right.
kept coming up online, and we were like, "This is why we didn't want to do this. This is why we didn't want to do this." What do we say? And so,
By the way, we have had an entire career of doing the thing. Now, are we through the moon successful and can do like stadiums? No,
Right.
but we can honestly say all the choices we've made of all the shows that we've done in our career, 100%. If you come up to us and say, "I saw you," we're like, "Great."
Yes.
We're not embarrassed about any of them.
Yep.
That was the one where I was like, this didn't feel right. And so
But
like,
the gut thing, I don't. In other businesses, I don't know what it's like, but this is one because you have to make fast decisions about the long term, whatever. But
totally.
it's like,
But we were wrong in our gut about Jeff Ross. We were wrong initially.
that's why
and
we
so,
were
like,
questioning.
Well, was that a trust issue,
Well,
or was
but
that?
we
just
obviously
weren't
trust
sure.
Jeff.
We trust Jeff.
Jeff made a very, very compelling case, and we respect him.
So did our agent. He made a very compelling case. Usually, so they
Wait,
asked.
here's a 2-second opportunity to bring in our title. What we thought would happen.
Oh,
Yeah, great.
You thought that your agent was right, and this might be fun.
So
right?
we thought this, not that it would be fun at all.
Oh.
We thought
it would.
No, your
be-
gut was it wouldn't be, but
It
then
would
you were
be an
convinced
opportunity.
opportunity for comedy clubs around the country
Yeah.
to say, as seen on America's Got Talent.
It's a
we
showcase.
Thought we would do
yeah,
like
yeah.
that for that audience. We would fill the other 30% of the club that wasn't getting filled when we were going.
Right.
Because the viewers of that show
It
are
is-
Middle America and like those
Yeah,
normal
it's-
show up.
people.
It is great access. Great
Yeah.
access.
And,
Great
they like
exposure.
comedy, so they'll
Exposure,
show
yeah.
up. They'll show
So
up.
we thought if we do like 3 or 4 weeks on there, but it was hard to figure out what of our material and how do we put it down, how do we put it together, and it's also
Because
very
they have their hands in that too.
A little,
bit. Yeah.
But we
Not much.
thought we had it. We
Yeah.
thought we had enough. So we find out that we aren't moving on, which is weird because we got 4 yeses and we're like,
Yeah.
you didn't get a golden buzzer, but we got 4 yeses. There's no way we're not moving on. So we were in our minds trying to think of how we could refuse to continue. Like that's what so we're like coming up with excuses.
So when
trying-
the email came out that you're not moving on, both of us were like, "Oh, thank God, thank
so
God."
when you hear that, you have a gut reaction. The ball don't lie. Like you have a gut reaction. Like when someone's like, you don't have to do this. It's like almost like now at our age when someone's like, the party you were going to go to got canceled. You're like,
Great. I love
Thank
it.
God.
Fabulous.
Thank God.
You want
I
to
have
order
to
food.
drive.
Jim
Yeah.
Valley
Lord.
about
Yeah.
this. How much you love having something
Jim
be
Valley.
canceled.
plan
Yeah.
get canceled, and you're like, I just get to be home now. All right, so that vibe was exactly how we felt when we got.
And
that
then
note.
they all asked us if we would be alternates in case someone drops
The
out.
Oh, my
insult.
God.
So we then got a chance, but it was good because then we got a
You could
chance
choose.
to say all the
no.
things we should have said the first time, which is like, you know what? No.
Having gone through this
Having gone
experience-
through this experience, this is not the show for us. We need to give young people who are unknown a chance. And
we were nice. We were
But not
respectful.
even that. It's literally of all the talents that anybody could have to literally be like, tell us your name and where you're from.
That's
okay,
right.
now show us what you've got. It's
Right.
it's not a showcase. It's an audition at that point.
It is.
It's
And
like-
so we were like,
Yeah.
so we're like, and by the way, we believe in our stuff in a major
Totally.
way. But like, I was like, you know what? We respectfully say no. And we were very nice. And I would even say to this point, I'm like, it just was the wrong fit for us. So I have
Now
no.
I will also say this because we're fair and open-minded people. we have had people who saw us do that set on America's Got Talent and come and seen us do stand-up.
Boom.
At
Oh,
shows.
nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm grateful for
You're
that.
like, it
I'm
worked?
grateful for the show that
because we did great material on the show,
I
even
like
though
the
Heidi
set.
doesn't know what the hell she's
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
liked our set.
Ah.
It's like you cut Howie's thing at the beginning talking about how great we were, and you left her weird.
Like that totally undermines you.
It just was weird, and we're like, we don't need to be told what our stuff is by this person. If like
They tried to curate something once where I have a very simple joke. I'm from Texas. I grew up in Texas when George W. Bush was governor of Texas. I'm a child left behind. Very simple.
Nice.
So all they said, they're like, we love it. It's great, but you can't say George W. Bush on television. I was like, I can't even say his name. So like, we want you to say, I grew up in Texas. I'm a child left behind. I was
No,
like, there's
doesn't-
I was
that's
like,
no joke.
But that was
Wow.
all I needed. I was like, if that's the like level you're
I got it.
curating,
So you said-
I'm gonna bomb. Like,
So
I'm gonna
did you
bomb.
say I'm not doing it?
I said I went to the line before signing anything, and then same gut thing because I was like, I want a showcase and I want all that kind of stuff. But I was like, that's gonna fucking tank me. I'm gonna be the person who was booed
don't,
off of.
You don't want that. You
But
definitely do.
Yeah, that's why I want to talk to you. I'm so glad y'all were candid about it because it's such a decision to make. Because all
We
you
we should
want
never have
the-
been and again
Not a never.
we should never have been asked to do it like that was them sort of outreaching.
Do you guys have like a guilt about that? I don't think that's the thing.
So I just think we should have stuck to our, again, as I said before, like so many things. You've seen us be in all the things we've ever been in our career. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love it. If you've seen it, you saw us on this, you saw us on this, you saw us on this, great.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even Grey's Anatomy, which was a dramatic
Yeah.
thing, we managed to put comedy in it. We
I
improvised.
loved what we got to do on the show that you were on Partners. That was so fun.
Wait, we didn't even finish. We didn't even finish the Grey's Anatomy story because you got
oh
to
yeah,
hear this.
here
Okay.
we'll wrap on that one. We got to get you guys out of here.
So we're in there. They've got to shoot and pick off the coverage of everybody, and we're like, and we're just sitting there in this like prosthetic, and the director who was
Who
really
had
great.
just directed The Wire.
Yeah, he was
Whoa.
like so good.
Remember the education season in the school where he just directed the episode where like in the classroom, spoiler alert, some girl like slits some other kid's throat. Like it's crazy. Like high drama, great young director.
Oh, I loved him too. He would like whisper the notes to each of us so that the other person couldn't hear. So like you didn't know what was coming. We would
coming.
just be prepared. It was great.
Fantastic.
Great.
What was his name? Seath?
Seaton
or Seath. I don't know. He was
Badass.
great guy. And so he's just trying to do his job. Like he's not the regular director who directs all
He's
the
also
episodes.
young, and he kind of doesn't have control over. This was his first episode of this show, so it wasn't like he knew the crew and knew the actors. He
So
was young.
So we're late in the night. This is gonna go late, and we're on overtime and overages, and Patrick Dempsey's like, "Hey, listen, I have this charity dinner of which I am the guest of honor at this thing. I have to go to it. Is there any way
You can shoot my coverage out. Shoot me out.
Shoot
Yeah.
me out. You know what I mean? Just put me here, and then you can frame me out, and then shoot me out of the stuff." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, of course."
Who cares about these two schlubs
Well, but like
that are stuck together?
Are y'all
took him
immol-
at his words. We didn't care.
We didn't give a shit. We're like,
please let us stay to the very end. We're making overtime.
Yeah.
also, we love working. We love working.
Yeah.
Like,
Are
when
you
you're-
relatively immobile in this costume?
Oh, it's
now?
awful. We're touching each other, which we hate to
The
do.
guy was
Yeah.
like, he's like, just make sure this is really uncomfortable for you. We're like, do you
whole
see
leg
where I'm
is
like
on his
touching
leg.
him?
It's gross.
I don't have to act.
So you were connected at the hip on this thing?
We climbed into this three-legged thing in the middle leg.
Whoa.
Both of our legs, and then
the
created
back.
this weird back thing that was shared that they could
Fantastic.
shoot behind the open robe and show
Oh,
that
I
it was
love it.
connected.
God damn it,
yeah,
I've got
yeah.
to see this. Okay.
Badass. It was badass. All right, so Katherine Heigl finds out that
He's
Dempsey
getting
is
shot out
early.
first.
She
And I mean,
freaks out.
Like she like throws out all 27 dresses on this shit. She is like so mad. Her boyfriend is there who's like a singer-songwriter at the time. I'm sure
I
she's
hope
married
so.
now.
Yes.
And like he's with her in the
Anger.
in the anger, and they're in her trailer. She locks it and is not
She will
coming
not
out.
come out.
Oh
Will
my
not come out.
God.
Now we're stuck to each other.
Love. This is
Isaiah
the best.
Washington's nowhere to be found. The set is stressed out because of the shit he did last week. Randy and I are like, this is insane.
This is insane.
I love it.
This is
It was
the
insane.
drama that we're in this room. It's crazy.
And
the
they're
tension.
pissed. The other people
Was
are
it hot,
pissed.
too?
It was hot. It was awful.
yeah.
It was, and it's not like when we did Partners or Will and Grace, which we didn't do, but like any 5-camera shoot, it's not like you can use the audience. Like you're like the audience is here. They've been here for 4 hours. You get the fuck out of there or you're gonna bomb on set. Like you're in a closed set. It's a
They're
drama.
like, this thing could take forever.
They don't care. You don't need an audience.
Heigl's still in that trailer.
Right.
She's still in there. I mean,
it was a masterclass in being a diva in a moment where you did not need to be a diva.
yeah,
And
she
Rand-
could have just been like, all right, just go. Next time I get shot up first. There's like so many things you could say. Like, Patrick, listen to me. Get out of here. We'll shoot your thing. But like, I swear to God, you're
How
going
about Catherine being like, I also have something. Can I go second?
Yeah.
Like, chill out.
Oh, I love shit
And
like
it
that.
was like
we're just sitting there and we're just like
counting money. Like,
Yes.
How did it resolve with her? Did she finally?
she actually, they were like, we'll shoot around her being off the set.
Oh.
And Patrick will shoot him out. So they did. Then they shot everyone else while they had somebody talk to her agent.
just begging her
to get up on the
And
set.
finally she came back.
out and
Is
they
that
shot
conversation just like right over there?
her. No, it's in her trailer.
In her
But
trailer.
Can you hear it? The
No,
business?
it's
Oh,
off the
okay.
studio set.
We're in like a hospital building.
Yeah, stuck
But
on
of
the
course,
set.
we're stuck. And of course, we stick around for her ass to deliver the lines off camera, over the shoulder and whatnot, so that if they want to get a dirty shot between us or whatnot, if they want to, but just so she's getting the thing, because we're like, we're
We're
here.
not going to have like the script supervisor read our lines.
We're like, we're going to do this. We're here and we're
Yeah.
going to do this and we're going to make this great because we care about it and we want it to be.
And it goes back to what Andy Kindler did for us, which was you support your community that you're in, whatever community you're in.
Amazing. And people did that for us along the way.
You know, too, there's, Michael Caine says that he's never turned down a job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to that too.
Yeah.
Of like,
those are the
I
cider house rules.
Yeah.
You do not turn down a
Joan
job.
Rivers,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you said yes to everything.
Always say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I
Always
say
say
no, it's a mistake. Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Always say yes. I mean,
Yeah.
and so in that regard, if you go back to our America's Got Talent, yes, it was a disaster on some level for us, or not
Just for
disaster.
us.
But that's internalized.
Just internalized.
It's outwardly, it wasn't a disaster.
Again, because it goes back to us being twins, not wanting to be a novelty, not wanting to be seen as this. We worked so hard within the industry, within, in New York for the 5 years we were there, in LA for all the years that we were here. We wanted people to be like, that's a great comedy team.
Yeah, yeah.
They're twins and that's interesting, but that is a great comedy team. Their comedy is great. It's not about being twins, but it kind of is in this sort of subtextual sort of a way. But they're great. They use what they have, and we put them up there with the other great comedians that
like
exist.
Smothers Brothers.
Right?
Yes.
Those guys were great.
One of the
love.
Smothers brothers.
I know,
Passed
passed
my
away.
Oh, but the other one, the one who's still alive. In the old days, back in the TV show days, saw my mom at the airport and complimented her perfume.
Oh, nice.
I was like, that is amazing.
He loved her perfume best.
Isn't that cute? I know. I love that.
Wait a second. So I want to. I'm sorry I interrupted. Did Katherine Heigl then maybe apologize to you guys? Or how did you guys end this?
Never.
Nothing was ever said to us.
Nothing was ever like, hey, I'm sorry. This is.
She may have apologized to her crew, but we didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
I was just
But
like, you just threw
It
a
just
fit.
showed us again. It showed us what not to do. There's like
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
to do, and then what is not to
How
do.
not
And
to be.
when
That's-
we've had our shows and TV shows, we're always like, you got to be as generous as you can be in every single aspect of that show, and especially if you're like in the top of the call sheet, you have to.
Yeah.
that sets the tone for everybody. You're like, and then people will come work for you.
Somewhere there's two twins dressed as like parasitic twins listening. That's sad. There's always someone around.
I'm gonna
listening.
go in
You have to
there.
watch
I'm
it.
gonna get it.
Now's my
we're
time.
gonna get it.
Now's my time.
Y'all are so charming. Where can
Oh, thank
people
you.
find you guys, and what's on the horizon?
You can see us. I don't know when this is going to drop, but we have a Tag It show that we talked about.
Yay.
We have one at as part of Netflix is a Joke Festival at the Comedy Store on May 8th, which is a Wednesday. We are going to be in Salt Lake City at Wise Guys, great club, Jordan Landing, on the 17th and 18th of May.
We'll be in Dallas, your hometown. At I think we're just out there to do some work, but we're like, can we get some spots to do comedy? So we'll be at like I think the downtown and the Fort Worth Hyenas on
yeah,
the
those are great places.
19th and 20th and the 21st and 22nd. We'll be in Houston at the Secret Group, which is an amazing
love
club
that place.
there.
Great club.
Supersklars.com to get all the dates. And then we have a couple of podcasts. We do a podcast called Dumb People Town, which each of you should both do, where we take
Because we're dumb people.
no, we're
No, you
taking a
break
look
down.
at dumb behavior and trying to understand why people do the dumb things they do.
Oh,
It's
I
like
love that.
That's
There's
a
so
great
many.
one. That
That's
one
a
is
really
really
good.
fun.
we
that's
try
a
to
real
answer
good
the
idea.
question. Like we had Neil Brennan on the show recently, and he was like, there was a picture, a mugshot of a guy who had just driven his truck through the ocean and got it stuck, and the cops arrested him. The look of happiness on his face
In the
Neil-
mugshot.
Neil's like, I just
I'll never be as happy
happy as this guy right here
in his mugshot.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He's happy. There's something he's experiencing here.
Like my
that-
greatest moment of my life. I'm not as happy.
I'm not as
he is
happy
in
as this guy
mugshot.
here. And to me, like, that's kind of also what the show's about. Is like, is it better to be smart and miserable because you know how bad the world is,
Yeah.
or dumb and happy?
Yeah, I
dumb
love
and
Dumb
happy
and
is winning.
It's gotten me a long way.
I always think about just even like the traditions, the things that we
That
go
works.
through that have no real meaning. Like, I mean, like if you have a shower or a bachelor party or whatever, and when someone opens their gift and then you pass it around, whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, I think there might be one way to not get invited back to these things, and that is whatever it is that you're holding, whether it's a thong or like a little stuffed animal or whatever, to just rub it against your face.
Yes, start making out with it. Yeah.
And rock back and forth. You can't ask her. You can't ask
And
her
then
to
there's just
anything.
people
that
are
they
like,
want.
wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
She doesn't
It's
have
not
to come to
yours.
anything.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
Uninvited.
I love
Rocking.
that. The rock with eyes closed, like a religious ceremony.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I love that.
Well,
so
thanks
check all
for-
that stuff out, and you guys come on
Yay.
that.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Garu.
You're so goddamn funny.